Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the CX Accelerator Show. It is your hosts, Nate and Erica. What's going on, Erica?
What's up, Nate? How are you today?
I'm hot. It is hot.
The heat is on in North Carolina for sure.
It's like
And in
100
the
degrees.
CX Accelerator Slack community this week, Nate.
That's
It's heating
right.
up.
We have not had a summertime slowdown. There's been so many great threads going on in there. A huge shout out to all of our amazing channel leaders. You all are just fantastic. And it has been so encouraging to see all the different ways in which we're inspiring one another inside of that Slack channel. Erica, you did a cool thing this week. You have a bi-weekly Monday motivational quote that you put out. What was it for this week?
Yeah, so I love this feature. It's so nostalgic. Remember back in like 10 to 15 years ago, Monday motivation was all the rage on social media. So we're doing this in the CX Accelerator Slack community. And this week we were just giving people a little push to work toward their goals, even though for a lot of us this week while we're recording, it's a short work week in the US.
Yeah.
We've got the 4th of July holiday, and people were just chiming in and sharing about how they're pushing their goals forward. The quote was something about how in the moment it might feel like you're not making progress, but time goes by and that progress adds up. And folks were talking about getting their
Iterations.
first comedy stand-up set done, climbing mountains, building up their network, stepping outside of their comfort zone and meeting new people on LinkedIn. So it was just so cool and encouraging to see what everyone's working on this week.
I love it. Well, a huge shout out to Jen Martin and the Raleigh CX Accelerator team for getting their gathering off the ground. That looked like a blast. Dallas just had their lunch yesterday. That looked like a blast. Erica McManus and the Knoxville team, you all just had an awesome gathering out there. So it's so fun seeing folks get together. And the purpose of all of this podcast, the Slack channel, these gatherings is to help to equip and to encourage and connect CX professionals on every stage of their career journey. So we take that very seriously. So one of the most absolutely important threads inside of CX Accelerator is our career conversations channel. And we've identified a very special individual who has been shepherding that channel and has been doing these amazing weekly calls with folks to help to equip them on their candidate journey and to make these connections for those that are seeking the right individuals as well. And my goodness, Erica, this could not be more important. I just recently had a candidate experience where, it was a really exciting job, and I had a friend introduce it to me, and she was able to shepherd me to a place where I actually got an interview, which it feels to me like unless you have a friend that does that for you, it's not going to happen. I don't know how many jobs I've applied for where if I'm just putting in a resume in some online vehicle, it goes absolutely nowhere, regardless of how qualified I am. So this was a case where, I got there, I did a great, first round resume, made it through that, and then ghosted, just gone, just nothing. Just the next interview was just never scheduled. And it just made me feel so frustrated and sad for the tens of thousands of people that are out there right now that are fighting so hard to find the right thing, and they make progress and they get hope, and then how quickly that hope can be stolen away. But we have to keep encouraging one another. We have to keep inspiring one another to improve this candidate experience for those that have a scope of influence over it, and sharing these stories, and to get people like the amazing Wendy Taylor, who we're about to bring up, to give us the good insights and information that we can use to not just have little sparks of hope, but to have building blocks that lead to that great foundation of getting the next great job, the next milestone in our career. So with that, come on up here, Wendy Taylor. Hello, Wendy. How are you doing?
I am fabulous, and I'm also hot.
We all have that in common.
Wendy is with me in Nashville, so we're fighting it. And Wendy, you were fighting your MacBook, but look at you. You are on an Asus little laptop. You look great. It's fantastic.
I'm in my studio and it works. So
Oh, your studio is
Beautiful
beautiful. I
setup.
love your piano and your guitars, and you have so many gifts, Wendy. It's just crazy, all your many talents. But one of the things that you've been doing over the past many years is career coaching. Tell us a little bit about that and a little bit about yourself.
so I started career coaching over 20 years ago at the same time as I got a job as a management consultant for a boutique consulting firm in customer experience. And actually, I got that job because of somebody in the customer experience accelerator. And
Oh,
I got to
cool.
meet him in person in Nashville last year.
Love it.
So I loved that job. It was a boutique consulting firm. I led projects for the Fortune 500, for Stanford, and I ran our best practices community, but I missed the fun part of being a boss.
Yeah.
I didn't miss firing people and laying people off, or the time that one of the girls that worked for me had an abusive boyfriend and I had to call security to make sure he didn't show up and do bad things. You
Goodness.
know, I didn't miss any of that. I missed the fun part, the developing talent, the helping people move along in their careers. And that's how I started what was then a side gig. It's not a side gig anymore.
Now it's a
So,
big gig.
yeah, it's a big gig. It's transforming lives. And to me, the purpose actually is that the career transformation or the career change positively impacts your whole life, your marriage, your children, your health, and the things that matter to you outside of work. Obviously, for me, that's music. But everybody's got their thing outside of work, and we want the career change to affect that positive.
So powerful. The work you're doing is so powerful, Wendy, and so important right now. I love
Yeah.
the Career Conversations channel and the CX Accelerator Slack community. So, shameless plug, if you're not part of that, you need to go be part of that. And Wendy, when Nate and I were chatting about the idea of launching this podcast, I told him we've got to do an episode with Wendy Taylor because so many people are looking for career advice right
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
And I have people DMing me every single week. People are chatting about this on Slack saying that they just feel really stuck right now. They've sent out
Yeah.
hundreds of applications. They're not even getting interviews. So, what is your advice for someone who's feeling stuck in this candidate experience?
Well, if you're stuck, you probably need to change what you're doing, is one thing. Another thing is you're a customer experience professional. You need to remember that the people trying to fill jobs are actually doing, to some degree, what you do in your job. You're the customer as the candidate. The candidate journey is very much a customer journey. And they're struggling right now, too.
Hmm.
They're getting a gazillion applications. People are using all sorts of tools that dehumanize the process. And I'm talking about on the candidate side. And recruiters have lost more jobs than anybody else in the last 2 years.
Really?
So they're stressed out. They've
Wow.
got more work. They're often very disrespected in their companies. And if they're in an agency setting, their business is in trouble.
Wow.
So one thing to realize is everybody's got it bad. Now, you've got to figure out what's going to actually work. What works for your brain? I love dealing with neurodivergent folks. So what works for your brain? What keeps your mental state going? And what's actually efficient and effective?
Hmm.
I love that you're having empathy for the folks on the other side. I don't think we talk about that a lot, right? There are a
Sure.
lot of complaints out there about I had this horrible candidate experience. But you're right. The people that are on the recruiting side have a tough gig right now too, and they very much are fearing for their job security.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say there's someone out there listening and they're just feeling very discouraged because they've put in all these applications, they're not getting an answer back, or maybe they get a first interview and then they don't get a call back. I love your advice that maybe you need to switch it up and do something differently. Can you share any examples of what that's looked like for clients
Yeah.
that you work with?
So first of all, one of the things that I do, and we talked about this in our monthly career conversation for the Customer Experience Accelerator community, is we have to make the process of customizing the resume efficient and effective. You can't spend 2 hours on every application. So you need to be tracking all the crazy answers for all the crazy questions in the online applications,
Yeah.
because you're going to find that you're going to be able to reuse a lot of that. So you've got to have an organized process for that. If you're not easily organized, then you need someone to help you with that. Then there's the resume. I now have a template that I highly recommend. People who were on that call last week got that. You usually have
Mm.
to pay me good money to get that. And that template has enough white space, because we have to think like educators. We want to make it easy for the human, and yes, it's a human reading your resume, to see what they need to see that you've done the thing they need you to do at their company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we
So
have to make
smart.
it really easy to customize that. So we can do that in 15 minutes.
That's great. Well, Wendy, thank you for your generosity of time and resource. The weekly calls that you have been doing have made a huge impact on so many people. So we're so blessed to have you as part of our community. Love that question from Erica. One of the things that I'm always told, Wendy, as I navigate this career journey is how gosh darn important your network is. Is that still true? And if yes, what does one do to appropriately activate that network?
So what's interesting is when I started career coaching, I worked with people who couldn't apply to jobs and get them. And we're talking about 20 plus years ago.
Mm.
So back then, there were plenty of people who could apply to jobs and get them. And I worked with the people who were either senior, so there's only one of that job at every company, or they were making some kind of pivot, whether it's customer experience to customer success, or leaving law and going into something different, whatever it is. And so I built a process based on human psychology that leverages the power of your network and the power of LinkedIn. And it used to be that only people in those two categories really needed that process. I call it the connect process. What you will often see is people think network is I go to online networking events, I go to in-person networking events, I tell everybody what I'm looking for, I post on LinkedIn, I'm open to work and here's what I want to do. If you know anything, tell me. Guess what you're doing? You're outsourcing your job search. And you're not making it easy for people who want to help you to help you. So my process makes it easy for the people you know to help you, and identifies using LinkedIn people they can introduce you to. So you do the work, not your network.
Okay.
And then the person that they introduce you to gets the experience of feeling valued for the wisdom.
Mm.
How much do you get actually seen and heard and valued for your wisdom on a daily basis? Not enough for your well-being. And you want to help the people in your life, but you are stressed out. Someone sends you a message asking for help, and even if they make it easy, you've got to get your kids to Little League, and you've got to go buy groceries, and then you've got to go do this for a community organization, and you don't have any time. And then it's midnight, and you go, oh, wait a minute, I was supposed to make that intro for Nate,
Mm.
right?
True.
So that process opens doors so that you become the inside track candidate,
Mm.
and you come in
Inside
through a
track
valued
candidate.
connection.
That's so good. Yeah, I feel like, one thing that I've noticed, Wendy, is um and I'm not sure this is accurate. This might just be me, but I've actually been kind of disappointed in a way, having a really large network, but not being super close with 95% of the people in that network. The thing that has
Mhm.
actually mattered to me, that has helped me on my career journey, is the 5%. The friends that I have where there's a real depth to that relationship. So I've been telling people, hey, don't don't overshoot how important it is to have all these acquaintances, thousands and thousands of acquaintances. What really matters more is to have your 30, 40, 50 deep relationships. What do you think about that?
There's a yes and here.
Okay.
So I love that. That deep core is what's going to help you on the bad days.
Mm.
That's what's going to pick you up. Yesterday, somebody who reported to somebody who reported to somebody who reported to me when I was a CX leader in a fintech startup, and I had 400 of the 500 employees reporting to me. She had a close family friend whose husband needs career coaching. And she introduced us via text, and she said, Wendy has been my mentor and someone I've looked up to for 27 years.
Wow. Yeah.
I was having a really bad day.
Mm.
My bad day went away.
Went
I
away.
cried first, and then and I don't cry. So that should
Sure.
tell you something. And
Yeah.
then my bad day went away
Wow.
because that's the kind of connection. I've coached her. I've coached her husband. I've coached her son, who I used to hold as a baby at Christmas parties.
That's so
But
special.
it's so special. But the point is those inner circle people lift you up on the bad days,
Mm-hmm.
and they can really be there for you. Leveraging the rest of it and giving those human beings an opportunity to help somebody who isn't in their inner circle by making it easy for them to do it, that will open way more doors than your inner circle can open. Your inner circle is going to keep you together on the
Mm-hmm.
bad days and remind you how amazing you are.
Yeah.
Mm,
Good
I think
advice.
that's true. Kind of on a related note to Nate's point about the importance of a network, I'm curious to know what you think about there's an old adage that says something like the best time to search for a job is when you already have one. What do you think about that? Is that true? Like, should we always be in this mindset of I need to be prepared for the next step?
So, to some degree, some of that was because it used to be that people who were out of work had failed. So, to some degree, that wisdom was because people perceived you to have messed up
Okay.
if you were looking. So, that's one reason that used to be said. That being said, if you're in a scared place, so if you're the breadwinner, I was the breadwinner in my marriage, that person counting on you, they need you to do your job, and your job is to pay the bills. Whether you both breadwin and one of you is the primary breadwinner or not, that's a big deal. So there's that. There's the pressure. On the flip side, you do have time. I like to think, and I've done this for the Nashville chapter, I like to think of your career like a game board. And so when you're in a job, that's when we move into what's in it for me mode. So yes, you're going to perform, but you're going to think about how you can perform through a lens of how does this get me to where I want to be? So you're using your current job to move you forward. And sometimes we have to take a not soul crushing, but bill paying job because we're grown-ups and we kind of like keeping the roof over our heads. So what we want to do is make sure it's not soul crushing, make sure it will pay the minimum of the bills, and then figure out how to use that time and use that job to move you to where you want to.
Love that. Another topic I really want to touch on today, Wendy, is we get a lot of folks in the CX Accelerator community that are maybe starting to explore whether they want to take a different path with their career. I think that there are very many folks in CX right now that feel a little bit uncertain about the future and they're trying to think ahead of, how can I transfer these skills and experiences into the next step? One example, last week, someone said, hey, I'm just starting to explore what it might look like to move over to customer success or customer marketing. So, do you have any advice for someone who's been doing what they've been doing for a while and they're thinking about trying something a bit different?
Yes. So first of all, I find it ironic that my name is Wendy. It was created for the story Peter Pan. And what I actually do is help people figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And
I
if you
love
don't
that.
remember, Peter Pan was not a fan of growing up. So I literally have had 2 people hire me this week to coach them on figuring out what they want to be when they grow up.
Yeah.
One in their 40s, one in their 60s.
Wow.
Yeah. So that being said, if you actually have clarity on what you want to do, and I'm not using an AI word, I actually mean clarity, then we have to figure out how to get you there. It is not easy in this market to go from a strong customer experience background to a customer success background. So how do you do that? You're going to do that with my Connect strategy. You're going to do that potentially by getting another customer experience job at a company with a customer success team. or at a company that ties to some part of your whole life. It serves veterans and your dad's a veteran. It is about sports, technology in some way, and your kid was an all-star little leaguer all the way up through high school, and all your family did was go to games or tournaments, like somebody we all know. And so, that kind of thing. So those will be the paths to making that transition, is being valued for other parts of what you bring to the table. And in your superpower cocktail, only part of it is your skills and talents and your industry experience and your role experience. Other parts of it come from other aspects of your work life, or your whole life, not just your work.
I love that advice. What I'm hearing a bit of a theme that a big piece of all of this is relationships and connection.
Yeah.
The skills and what you know are important, but also, like, I think it's just as important in your career journey or job search to invest time in building those relationships.
Relationships are huge, and who you are as a human being is huge. We think about trends,
Sure.
and we think obviously about AI. We think customer experience has definitely been disrupted since 2020 for sure. And so often we think we need to just get ahead of that. Well, what is the number one thing that you can do as people are navigating replacing humans with technology? And frankly, in customer experience, we've been doing that for 25 years or more.
Sure.
I mean, IVRs, for Pete's sake, not a human being pressing buttons for you. So leaning into who you are as a human, knowing what your superpower cocktail is, and that goes beyond your work experience, knowing who your people are, figuring out a place where you're not a unicorn in a land of donkeys and they are so happy to have you, and thinking about your actual career map and what that looks like. So all of that is about human experience. And if you can nurture your relationships, both that inner circle that Nate was talking about and your broader network, by helping others and making it easy for people to help you, and being a good human.
So underrated, right?
I know.
So much
I
great
was
advice,
chatting
Wendy.
I selfishly would love to ask one more question because I was chatting with a friend over the weekend, and she's kind of at an impasse where she feels like she's been applying to all these jobs, not hearing back. And she asked our friend group, "Do you think I should just stop investing my time, like, blind applying to roles, and focus more on meeting new people and stepping out of my comfort zone and trying new networking avenues?" What do you think?
So if it's not working, you have to change something, right? So with most of my people, we figure out what they're going after, and we are looking through a lens of what is it easy for people to see that they can do. We craft the resume in my template. We make sure the LinkedIn profile supports it, and then we apply. If they're in a full-time job search, we want to see that there are 25 good fitting jobs for them to apply to each week. And then, are they capable of doing that? And then after a few weeks, 3 to 6, we see, were there 25 every week? Did you do it? And what percent of the time do you get an interview? If it's 2% or better, okay. If it's under 2% or there aren't 25, we have to
Something's gotta
immediately
change.
shift gears. Then we're moving into my connect strategy. What if your LinkedIn network actually isn't very big? One of my clients had 36 connections on LinkedIn.
That's tough.
He's like, I don't like social media. I said, I appreciate that. My late husband had to be referred to by a pseudonym on Facebook. I understand, but for your career, you will have to be on LinkedIn, and you're going to have to grow your network, and you're going to have to pay LinkedIn for LinkedIn Premium for job seekers, because you're going to have to be searching for people, and you're going to have to do more searches than they'll let you do for free. And he's like, it hurts, but I know you're right. And so what we're doing is, he has a goal every week to add to his network,
Yeah.
because LinkedIn shows you who the people you know.
Sure.
And that's what you need to actually make the connect thing work.
Yeah,
So you're
it's
saying Denny's is not a viable alternative to LinkedIn?
What is?
Denny's
Didn't
is not
No.
okay.
It
Damn
may
it.
actually keep you sane, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, I'm going to do a whole series on customer experience, employee experience, and Applebee's because I
Okay.
just drove from Arizona to Tennessee, and I ate all my meals at Applebee's.
Wow.
Okay, I want to read that. I'm excited.
Strange flex,
Yeah.
but that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and the one with the great employee experience, I've already met the owner of that franchise, and he's like, "You've got to tag me."
Shout out to Glenn, who's an ICMI guy and owns a bunch of Applebee's franchises. That guy's awesome, and I've learned a ton from him. So they're out there. So that's really fun.
That's awesome. So, Wendy, I just am so thankful for the work that you're doing in this space, and I want to get the word out there to as many people as possible. So many of us are feeling kind of down right now, or like there's no hope. But what I'm loving about what you're saying is that you've baked in like a clear formula people can follow and accountability. Like you have to follow up and put in the work to do it. So,
Yes. But in my world, when you work with me, you have a lot of support, around how your brain works, how you emotionally respond to the stress of the job search. And then there are all these other people speaking fluent Wendy. And
yeah.
so even in what I do in a free setting once a month for CXA, there's still that sense of they're starting to talk about anyone who's been there multiple times. Oh, yeah. And they're speaking Wendy and they're supporting each other. But my clients, it's just multiplied. You need emotional support. You do need to do the work. You do need accountability. You have to have the work for your job search and your brain and your mental state.
It's a community. So what's one thing that someone can do to kind of get themselves out of that place of stuck? Just take one step to like start moving in the right direction.
So I've conducted 12,000 interviews in my career. I've hired a lot of people.
It's a lot.
And part of my interview prep process is actually useful for your job search. So I tell you the most important thing for every interview you have is to do your mind, body, spirit practice. If you have a religious practice, you stack that on top. But you got to have a mind, body, spirit practice that uses two of the three, if not all three. And you have to do that the morning of the interview. Here's the deal. You actually need to do that every day you're doing the hard stuff of your job search. And then the other interview prep that applies to your job search, so I'm giving you two instead of one because I'm not obeying, is you have to have fun within 3 days leading up to the interview.
Wow.
You have to have fun
That makes so
while you're
much
job
sense.
searching.
I love that because it brings your energy level up.
Yes. And
Wow.
what do you need to do hard things? When I have to do hard sales activities, I have a soundtrack one of my songwriter friends sent me, and I listen to that. Or an app called Odison that is for neurodivergent brains and plays binaural beat music driven, really cool stuff.
Yeah. It changes how you show up and people match the energy that you bring.
As we've talked about on this show, I mean, energy is the most translatable force in the world. So when you are doing, as Wendy is talking about, you are maintaining your energy through these practices by having fun, you come in a completely different person than you would have otherwise. I think that's really important advice.
Yeah. And, it helps. I've been on a lot of stages.
Yeah. Well, this has been so unbelievably helpful, Wendy. You are awesome. We are so grateful for you and the folks out there like you that are investing in people, that are helping to make connections, that are giving people hope on their career journey. And that is certainly happening inside of CX Accelerator. So please join us there. Join Wendy's Friday calls. You're going to get so much value from those. And we're just very grateful for that. So this has been great. Erica, any final thoughts before we shut this episode down?
No, I just want to say if you're out there, you are not alone. Come join Wendy and don't forget to have fun. I love that tip. I'm stealing that one. Thank you, Wendy.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, these experiences matter, and so do the people who make them. We'll catch you next time. Thank you, everybody.